Discover the incredible lives of 5 heartwarming rich ladies in Monaco, unexpected dreams revealed. The night sparkled like the Mediterranean waves lapping at Monaco's shores. Under the twinkling chandeliers, glamorous women floated past in a sea of silk and satin. Emma, a once celebrated artist turned socialite, plastered a radiant smile on her face, but her heart was heavy. As she welcomed patrons to her grand art auction, she clutched at her past like a life raft. Wealthy buyers admired her bright canvases. Each stroke told a story, yet none could color the gray shadow of her estranged father, the man who once held her dreams in his hands. Would he see how far she had come? Would he ever say he was proud? Grace, poised and elegant, felt the weight of her family legacy like a crown of thorns. At 28, everyone whispered about her arranged marriage, a perfect, blinged-out future that felt more like a prison. Her heart screamed for adventure, for the freedom to travel the world, yet her father's expectations chained her to the gala's surface. She caught sight of Emma's radiant art and felt a small flame of rebellion ignite within. Could she break free and create her own path? Nearby, Lena stood out in her tailored suit, her military haircut defying the opulence around her. A former combat veteran, she had traded bullets for banquets, yet the elitism of the crowd sliced deeper than any combat wound. When she took the stage during the panel discussion, her voice rang out strong, raising questions about the social inequalities surrounding them. True wealth shouldn't just shine, it should uplift, she declared. A palpable hush fell over the audience. Would they understand her fierce call for justice, or would they reject her? With each passing moment, she felt the chasm between her and the gilded guests widen. Yet she couldn't back down now. Sarah, with her intense drive, was pounding the pavement in Silicon Valley but found herself here amidst the glittering elite and their extravagant yachts at the behest of fate. As a tech entrepreneur, the rivalry with her fellow startup founder loomed in every corner, threatening her hard-earned respect. With a heavy heart, she watched Grace engage with her father's influential friends. The world of old money flowed effortlessly around her, and she felt her success slipping away. Was she enough without being consumed by ambition? Mia, the wide-eyed small-town girl, felt like a fish out of water. At 25, she couldn't shake the sense of inadequacy that chased her through the elegant halls. Her friends were powerhouses, each shining in their own right, and here she was, desperately wanting to prove she belonged. The lavish lifestyle felt like a distant dream that somehow materialized. Yet, each laugh and compliment from the elite felt more like a reminder of her roots. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the night deepened, tensions rose, and an unexpected event forced the 5 women to confront their dreams and fears. A sudden blackout panicked the crowd. Yells erupted amidst the dark, and in that chaos, they found each other. With hearts pounding, they knew this moment was pivotal. Would they succumb to their individual struggles, or would they band together to face the weight of their past and the expectations that loomed like a storm cloud? The room pulsated with uncertainty, but in the shadows, a new brotherhood of strength began to emerge, one where vulnerability turned into empowerment. Would they now take a stand against the very constructs that threatened to tear them apart? The moment the lights flickered out, Emma felt a rush of panic wash over her. But it was quickly replaced by a strange sense of clarity. As she groped in the dark, her mind raced. The soft textures and crisp fragrances of the gala turned into silhouettes and shadows, each one a reminder of the fears she had carried for so long. Emma. A voice called, cutting through the darkness. It was Grace, her familiar tone laced with urgency. The two of them grasped hands, their connection grounding them both. Are you okay? I think so, just scared, Emma admitted, her heart racing. At that moment, she felt the weight of her insecurities shift. The unanswered questions about her father's approval, the constant chase for validation, began to dissolve in the face of this unexpected chaos around them. Muffled voices and shuffling feet kept the crowd in a frenzy. Lena's powerful voice rose above the din. "Everyone, let us stay calm," she shouted. Even in the dark, her presence radiated strength. "Lena, what do we do?" Sarah echoed, her usual driven self now dimmed by uncertainty. "Let us find somewhere stable, a safe spot," Lena replied. "We're not alone in this. Don't forget that." Mia, who had pulled away from the group at the start of the night, suddenly drew closer. "I thought it would be just about me fitting in," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "But right now, I just want to be with you all." As they huddled together for safety, a bond began to form. In that overwhelming darkness, they shared their fears, their aspirations, and the dreams that had been buried under pressure for too long. Each heartbeat echoed a signal of solidarity, a strength that started as a flicker but grew into a flame. "This isn't how I envisioned my night," Sarah confessed, her voice low yet powerful. "I came here to prove something, to showcase my worth. But maybe standing together, we can prove something greater." Emma looked around at her friends, heartened by Sarah's words. They were fighting more than just the darkness, they were confronting the limitations imposed on them by society and themselves. Maya's hopeful gaze, Grace's fire igniting within, Lena's unwavering confidence, they illuminated her spirit in ways she never thought possible. A few moments later, the lights blinked on, flooding the room with harsh, bright illuminations. Gasps filled the air. A feeling of vulnerability washed over them all, but with it came resolve. They were wrapped in a newfound understanding, each of them now recognizing the power they truly held, not just as individuals, but as a unified force. "I'm ready to take control of my story," Grace declared, her voice steady despite the residual fear that clung to her. "Me too," Lena added, her eyes gleaming like the chandeliers above them. "Whatever that means, let us do it together." Emma's heart swelled. Perhaps this night could be a turning point. But before they could fully step into their newfound resolution, an announcement crackled through the speakers, sending chills down their spines. "Ladies and gentlemen, we regret to inform you that an emergency has been declared regarding our scheduled auction. We are experiencing unforeseen complications." What could this complication mean for them all? Would it threaten their bonds and ambitions, or would it ignite the fire they've begun to build together? The uncertainty loomed heavy as the room buzzed with a mix of panic and curiosity. Emma felt a tremor of hope as she reached for her friend's hands. Together, they could face whatever lay ahead. But the question lingered in the air: would they stand united, or would the next challenge tear them apart? The air was thick with tension as the announcer's voice faded. Emma could feel each pulse in her veins, a reminder of the weight of their shared moment just moments ago. The reality of the gala crashing down around them felt surreal. But as she looked at her friends, courage ignited within her. "What kind of complications?" she whispered, her voice barely a murmur. Grace, still gripping her hand, tilted her head slightly. "We need to find out." The chaos of the room seemed to swell again. People were mumbling, speculating, some of them already heading towards the exits. But Emma sensed a shift, a movement. What could be unfolding was bigger than just an auction mishap. It felt like a chance to reclaim their night. "Let us go to the stage," Lena suggested, her voice firm. The announcement came from there. "We need to listen closely." They'll explain more. They pushed through the crowd, and Emma's heart raced as she noticed others glancing at them, some with envy for their unity, others with suspicion, wondering what they were about to do. The stage loomed ahead, a beacon that promised clarity. When they reached the front, the four of them stood shoulder to shoulder, cutting through the whispering crowd as promise filled the air. Emma could feel the surrounding voices quieting, turning towards them as they waited for whatever came next. A spotlight suddenly cut through the dimness, illuminating a figure at the podium. It was the event coordinator, her features tense. "We've encountered a situation with the auction items. A few were damaged," she announced, her eyes scanning the audience. "We need a moment to assess the situation." Gasps echoed across the room, but Emma felt an unexpected thrill. Damaged? She repeated, almost to herself. Were these the same items that attracted the elite? The lost dreams of the wealthy resonated with some deep part of her. Do you realize what this could mean? Sarah's eyes widened, and she leaned in closer. People might lose their chance to impress the big names if the items aren't available. This could shift the dynamics. It could create chaos, Grace added, her brows knitted in thought. Mia, typically anxious, looked around and then focused on Emma. What if it becomes an opportunity for us to show what we're really about? A spark lit within Emma. What if we set up our own display? Not with the auction items, but with our goals. Show people we are more than what they think we are. Lena nodded, a slow smile creeping onto her face. Yes. Let us have a showcase. We bring forth our passions, what we believe in, who we want to be, not just what this charity confines us to. Excitement surged through them, a collective heartbeat stronger than fear. As the coordinator announced more updates, Emma leaned into the group. Let us make a statement. Together, we can inspire others. We can turn this night from disappointment to empowerment. As the moment approached to gather volunteers, the spotlight felt sharper. Emma's stomach twisted with both fear and exhilaration. She was stepping from the shadows of doubt, igniting a path to who she could become. But just then, a sudden uproar erupted from the back of the room, drawing everyone's attention. What now? Grace exclaimed, eyes wide in disbelief. Emma squinted into the distance, trying to piece together what was happening. A mix of voices rose, shadows darting in confusion. Is this going to blow everything we just built? Emma's thoughts stumbled. Their resolve was solid, yes. But if this new chaos threatened their chance for empowerment, could they truly stand united? As figures emerged from the crowd, a new tension cascaded over the night, pressing heavily on their shoulders, setting the stage for a confrontation they had never anticipated. Emma's breath caught at the challenge looming ahead. Would their journey together survive the test? The noise escalated. Emma's heart raced faster. The crowd shifted, like a churning sea of people, and voices clashed with rising anxiety. She caught snippets of conversation, words like a scandal, thief, and security. Panic surged through her. This could be the moment that shattered everything they planned. What if it's related to the auction items? Lena whispered, her brow furrowed. What if someone actually stole something? Emma inhaled sharply. The idea rippled through her. If something valuable was taken, it wouldn't just rock the auction, it could reveal a layer of corruption that they had all sensed but never acknowledged. They turned to face the stage, and the event coordinator struggled to maintain authority over the crowd. We assure you, we are addressing the situation promptly. Please remain calm. But tension was thick in the air, running through the crowd like a live wire. Emma sensed the ripple of apprehension and was struck by a sudden thought. This was her chance to shift the narrative. We need to rally everyone, she urged her friends. If we show strength, we can redirect their focus. Grace's eyes sparkled with determination. You mean, make ourselves the center of attention? Instead of letting this chaos take over? Exactly. If we can unite people around what matters, our dreams, our goals, we can change how they see us. Emma's voice gained strength with every word. But before anyone could respond, a tall figure emerged from the crowd, a man with a piercing gaze. Emma recognized him immediately. Nathan, well connected and notorious in the charity scene. He raised a hand, and the murmurs subsided as if he held some kind of power. I demand to know what's happening, he declared, his voice booming. If there are thieves among us, this charity will fall apart. The room erupted into chaos once more. People began shouting questions, their previous excitement dissolving into fear and mistrust. Emma felt her heart sink. Was her idea on the verge of collapsing? Yet amidst the confusion, she noticed Mia stepping forward, her usual timid nature left behind. We can help, she called out. Let us show you that there is potential even in uncertainty. The crowd quieted again, turning their attention to Mia. Emma's eyes widened in surprise, pride swelling in her chest. Maybe this was her moment to seize control after all. Let us set up our own display, Emma urged the group, shadows of anxiety replaced by a flicker of hope. Let us disrupt this chaos with our light. Without waiting for approval, Emma stepped ahead, adrenaline fueling her, her heart pounding with the rhythm of possibility. She envisioned a place alive with their passions, vibrant and real, a stark contrast to the worries shadowing the evening. Grace, Sarah, and Mia followed, catching fire from Emma's conviction as they marched toward the stage. They gathered scraps of materials, hastily repurposing decorations from nearby tables, stitching together an idea born from chaos. As they worked, whispers of curiosity rippled through the crowd. Emma caught glimpses of intrigued faces, people willing to listen, some even opening their hearts to what they were about to witness. But just as they nearly finished, Nathan stormed over, a storm cloud in human form. "What do you think you're doing?" he shouted, a finger pointing sharply at Emma. "You think this is the moment for your little show?" Emma's pulse quickened. Did she dare defy this powerful figure? But her friend stood beside her, shoulder to shoulder. Voices joined in the same determined chorus. "Yes," Emma said, meeting his gaze with newfound courage. "We're here to show that worth goes beyond possessions. Our story matters, just as much as the auction itself." The room held its breath, the tension split between fear and hope. Would their stand against Nathan rally more support or plunge them deeper into uncertainty? Emma stared into the intrigued faces before her, waiting for the tide to turn. But just then, the sound of shattering glass erupted from the entrance, echoing throughout the hall. What had just happened? Emma felt a chill creep up her spine. Could their moment of empowerment slip through their fingers again? Emma's heart stopped, the sound of glass breaking cutting through the humid air like a knife. She turned instinctively towards the sound, her mind racing. What had just happened? Was this part of Nathan's threat, or had something truly catastrophic taken place? The whispers turned to gasps as shadows moved near the entrance. Emma's stomach tightened. The tension shifted, eyes darted around as people clutched their drinks tighter, murmurs morphing into frenzied speculation. A few guests began inching back, unsure of the source of that ominous crack. "Stay calm," Nathan barked, but his voice shook slightly, betraying his own uncertainty. His icy demeanor faltered just enough to reveal the cracks in his confidence. Emma seized the opportunity, her instincts kicking in more distinctly than ever. This moment could bind them together or shatter their resolve even further. "Let's not lose our focus," she shouted, her voice barely rising above the rising tide of panic. "This is exactly why we need to come together." Her eyes then landed on Mia, whose expression mirrored the courage Emma felt surging within her. Mia nodded, determination painting her features as she stepped forward. "Remember why we're here. This is about more than just a charity or an auction. It's about connecting our community, building bridges instead of walls." The crowd stirred, a wave of recognition sweeping through them. Emma felt a light flicker in the morass of uncertainty. Maybe, just maybe, they could turn this chaos back into a moment of clarity. "Exactly. We're proof that despite trouble, we can shine through," Grace added, her voice rising, dazzling with enthusiasm. "We can't let fear dictate our evening." As if on cue, the atmosphere began to shift. Some attendees stepped closer, drawn to the growing energy around Emma and her friends. They weren't just four young women attempting a distraction, they were embodying hope and resilience in a time that felt utterly devoid of it. Nathan instinctively moved to silence them, but he faltered as one of the volunteers emerged from the entrance, looking disheveled and panicked. "There's been an incident, but nobody is hurt," he called out, trailing behind him a cascade of murmurs and gasps. "I saw someone leave." Another voice cut through, panic reigniting. They were wearing a black hoodie. A new wave of fear washed over the crowd, but Emma couldn't let this moment slip away. "This is our moment. Let us show everyone what we're capable of through this madness. We can channel this energy. We can create something beautiful right here and now." The nods of approval came quickly, turning from skepticism to trust. Sarah began to gather everyone around, encouraging them to stand up, shout out ideas, and contribute to their impromptu project. The fragmented sentences turned into a chorus of creative declarations and roaring laughter breaking through the tension. The sound of laughter mingling with the remnants of glass echoed through the hall, a chorus reclaiming their agency. Emma took a deep breath, a smile breaking through her previous anxiety. Maybe they were more than just their dreams, more than just the auction. They were a community, fiercely alive in this moment of uncertainty. But as Emma looked into the crowd, her gaze landed squarely on Nathan. He stood there, his expression caught somewhere between anger and astonishment. What would he do next? Would he accept this shift, or would he escalate the chaos? Just as Emma was about to approach him, a deep voice thundered from the back of the room. I wouldn't be so quick to celebrate if I were you. Emma felt the hair on her neck stand up. Who had just walked in, and what were they hiding? The reverberation of uncertainty began to grip her anew as a new complicated chapter threatened to unfold. What could possibly happen next? Emma felt the weight of that ominous voice fill the room, heavy and ominous. Eyes turned towards the entrance, where the figure stood draped in shadows. There was something unsettling about the way he loomed, his white teeth stark against the darkness of his hooded sweatshirt. What do you mean? Someone shouted from the crowd, a tremor of fear lacing their words. The atmosphere shifted again, uncertainty clawing at the edges of their festivity. The stranger stepped into the light, revealing a chiseled jawline and piercing eyes that surveyed the gathering with an inscrutable expression. Celebration. He repeated, lips curling into a smirk. That's rich, considering there's a leak about to ruin more than just this soiree. Emma's heart raced. They had been so hard fought to reclaim their moment, to transform panic into purpose. What are you talking about? She called out, her voice steady despite the rising anxiety. The room felt heavy, every single person holding their breath, hanging onto the man's next words. The stranger chuckled softly, his tone dangerously calm. The beauty of social media is that you never really know who is watching. Or listening. He paused, letting the words sink in like a pebble drop into a calm lake. And I can assure you, the right ears are tuned in right now. You think your little gathering is exempt from the unrest? I'm afraid it's just beginning. A dark wave of whispers rippled through the crowd. Emma's palms felt clammy as she exchanged glances with Mia and Grace. The shadows of doubt began to creep in again. Enough! Nathan shouted, eyes blazing with fury. We're not going to let some pile of threats ruin this night. We have a purpose here, and we're going to see it through. Is that so? The stranger mused, tilting his head in amusement. Good luck with that. But remember, it's always the one who stands in the back who is pulling the strings. Emma felt a chill creep along her spine as a realization hit her. Was there someone behind the scenes, orchestrating chaos just for the sake of entertainment or disruption? Her heart pounded, fire igniting within her. They couldn't let this go on unchecked. They had to expose the truth, whatever the cost. Let us keep moving forward. Emma shouted, rallying her friends and the bewildered crowd. There is power in unity. We can't lose sight of our aim. Gripping Mia's hand, Emma propelled herself toward the center of the room, her voice louder than a choir's crescendo. Let us create space for understanding. For change. Mia and Grace joined in, raising their voices in unison. The energy in the room surged like a tidal wave. People are drawn back together, passion igniting the air as they raised their phones, using social media as a beacon of resistance. Title it, Community Rising, someone yelled, laughter bubbling at the absurdity, breaking the haze of fear. But just then, the stranger smirked wider, leaning against the door frame. You can't capture this without the truth. What is coming will be unforgettable. And with that, he stepped back, retreating into the darkness. Emma felt a wave of panic crash over her. What did he mean? The laughter faded, replaced by uncertainty and a sense of impending doom. It felt like an oppressive storm brewing just beyond their view, gathering strength. What do we do now? Grace asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Emma looked around, her heart racing. They couldn't let fear wash over them again. They had to strategize. We need to uncover who is pulling the strings before it's too late. We can't let this night slip into darkness. But deep inside, Emma knew she was on the brink of a confrontation unlike any she'd faced before. Trust was fragile, and the truths they uncovered might change everything, not just for the evening, but for their community. What if someone is working against us? Mia's concern mirrored Emma's fears. The air thickened. Emma caught Nathan's gaze again. The question loomed. Would he be an ally or an enemy? As the crowd resumed their energy, a new determination rose, but the shadows lingered ominously at the edges, waiting for the right moment to strike. This continued unrest was just the beginning. What truths lay hidden in the unraveling threads of their community? Emma steeled herself, knowing one thing for certain: the night was far from over. Emma's determination hardened into clarity. The cheers of the crowd felt distant, almost ghostly, as her mind raced. If they were to fight back, they needed a plan. She glanced around, noticing faces etched with concern. Each one held a part of the community they'd built, and she couldn't let a shadowy threat tear it apart. Nathan, she said, her voice rising above the murmurs. We need to gather everyone's skills. Let us form teams. Find social media savvy people, those who know how to track information. We need to find out who that guy was, and what he meant about a leak. Emma's heart pounded with urgency, filling the air between them with an electric charge. Nathan nodded. I've got some contacts. We can dig deeper, but we need to act fast. His voice was firm, an unyielding anchor in the rising tide of uncertainty. Mia leaned closer, eyes sparkling with determination. What if we used our phones not just for social media but to communicate directly? We could set up a group chat to share updates. Yes. Grace jumped in, her enthusiasm infectious. This way we can keep the conversation going, find out more about this leak. The energy in the room shifted again as Emma felt hope crack through the clouds of doubt. They were coming together, a team poised to uncover the truth. As they moved into action, Emma turned to the crowd. We need everyone's help. Let us uncover this mystery together. Who remembers anything unusual from the past week? Any whispers, rumors, anything at all? People began to share stories, voices overlaying each other like a jumbled song. There was that odd message, one person recalled. And a crack in the library window, another added. The more they shared, the more a pattern began to emerge. Emma felt the thrill of discovery wash over her. She could almost sense the unfolding narrative, like the plot of a thrilling book being revealed before her eyes. Suddenly, a sharp voice pierced the chatter. What about the old cafe on Maple Street? I've heard strange things happening there. The crowd quieted, an electric pulse surging through them. Emma exchanged a glance with Mia. It was a lead. Let us split up. Grace, you and Mia can gather information online, see if anyone's out talking about Maple Street. Nathan and I will head there and investigate. As they organized, a flutter of apprehension lingered in Emma's chest. They were stepping into the unknown, and she couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Let us go, Nathan said, breaking her reverie. With one last look at the crowd, Emma could sense the mixture of hope and fear. Their community was standing together, but shadows lurked just out of sight. The cafe was a quaint place, tucked away with its peeling paint and flickering neon sign. The air smelled of brewed coffee and something sweet, but beneath that, there was an eerie tension. Emma exchanged a quick glance with Nathan as they entered. Stay alert, she whispered. They approached the counter, where a frazzled barista greeted them, her eyes darting nervously. Can I help you? She asked, but her gaze flicked toward the door, almost like she was anxiously waiting for someone. Emma's stomach twisted. We're looking for information about any recent events around here, she said, trying to keep her voice steady. Something is not right, and we believe it might lead us to a bigger issue. The barista hesitated, the tension radiating from her tightening the atmosphere. I've heard things, she whispered, glancing at the door. You should be careful. People have been asking too many questions before she could continue. A crash echoed from the back room, and Emma's heart raced. Was it the chaos they feared? Or just the beginning of something far worse? Emma and Nathan shared a quick look, each feeling the weight of the moment. The storm outside was closing in, and it was time to face whatever lurked in the darkness. What else was hidden behind the cafe doors, and would they be ready for the truth? Emma took a deep breath, knowing that this was just the tip of the iceberg. The crash from the back room reverberated through the cafe, pulling Emma and Nathan from their thoughts. Before they could make sense of it, the frazzled barista bolted from the counter, her face pale. "I'm sorry, I can't help you." Her voice was rushed, filled with a raw panic that instantly sent chills down Emma's spine. "Wait!" Emma called after her, but the barista disappeared through a door marked "staff only," leaving only the lingering scent of coffee and the unsettling silence of the cafe. Nathan's eyes narrowed. "We can't let her get away. She might know something important." He started toward the door. "Wait!" Emma said quickly, gripping his arm. "We should be careful. Something is definitely off here." She felt the adrenaline thrum in her veins. A half-formed thought nagged at her, warning her that rushing in might only put them in greater danger. Just then, the door behind the counter creaked open a fraction, revealing a shadow. A figure slipped through and pressed against the wall, eyes scanning the cafe anxiously. It was an older man, with grizzled hair and rough hands that trembled slightly. Emma caught a glimpse of his apprehensive eyes, filled with a weighty wisdom that spoke of hard-earned experience. "Is she gone?" he whispered, peering around cautiously. The air felt thicker as Emma took a step closer. "Who?" "The barista." She gestured toward the door where the woman had disappeared. He nodded, glancing over his shoulder. Good, good. You shouldn't be here." His voice dropped to a hushed urgency. "There's trouble brewing. The cafe isn't what it seems." "What do you mean?" Nathan interjected, the strength of his tone promising reassurance that they would not back down easily. The man leaned in, lowering his voice to a conspiratorial whisper. "People come in asking questions. Too many questions. They don't understand if they find out what we know, it'll put us all in danger." Emma's heart quickened. "What do you know?" He hesitated, the fear etching deeper lines into his forehead. "About the leak you mentioned. There are forces at work here bigger than you realize." With a glance toward the door, his eyes filled with urgency. "You'll need to decide quickly. If those people find out you know anything, it won't just be you they'll come after." A shiver ran down Emma's spine. This wasn't just about the cafe or the community, this was a warning of something far more sinister. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted. From the back room, the barista's voice emerged, a loud argument accompanied by muffled shouts. The tension escalated beyond what had already been palpable. Emma exchanged another look with Nathan, understanding that whatever was occurring behind that door could alter everything. "We have to help her," Nathan said, his determination unwavering. "In and out," Emma clarified, the adrenaline driving her decision. "I'll handle the distraction, you find out what's going on." Nathan nodded, and together they steeled their resolve. The storm outside raged louder, but it felt secondary to the storm brewing within these walls. As they moved toward the door, Emma's mind raced. Who was she really fighting for? Before she could delve deeper into those questions, the door burst open again, and two unfamiliar figures barreled out, their expressions dark and menacing. Now they weren't just walking into danger, they were standing at the precipice of something larger. Emma's heart raced as they grew closer. "Get down!" Nathan hissed. It was too late to turn back now. Emma braced herself, hoping that whatever truth awaited them wouldn't shatter the fragile hope they had built. But she knew deep inside that nothing would ever be the same again. What secrets were the cafe employees hiding, and would Emma and Nathan be able to uncover them before it was too late? As if the air around them crackled with electricity, Emma felt her heart pound louder than the storm outside. Nathan's grip tightened around her wrist, a steady anchor in this chaotic moment. They ducked behind a small table that would cool against her skin. From where they crouched, Emma could see the two figures who had burst from the back room, men whose presence felt as threatening as the storm that raged outside. The first was tall and muscular, with a scar running down the side of his face. The other was shorter, wiry, with a calculating look in his eyes. They exchanged hurried whispers, and every so often, glances darted toward the staff-only door. Emma's stomach churned. Those glances seemed loaded with unspeakable tension. "What do we do?" Nathan whispered, his voice barely a breath above a whisper. Emma scanned the cafe for exits. The front door felt like a million miles away, and the back room was shrouded in disarray and uncertainty. "We wait," she replied, keeping her voice steady. The two men continued their frantic conversation, and she could catch bits and pieces. She didn't say anything. "It has to be worse than we thought. They'll come for us next." Each word hung in the air like a warning bell. Emma's fingers instinctively clenched into fists, frustration tightening around her. Suddenly, the staff-only door swung open again, and this time, the barista staggered out, her eyes wide, fear radiating off her like an aura. "Run!" she shouted. "Get out now!" Before Emma or Nathan could process the command, the tall man lunged forward, blocking the barista's path. "Not so fast," he snarled, his voice a low growl that sent shivers down Emma's spine. A rush of instinct propelled Emma forward, pushing past Nathan. "Wait!" she cried out. "We can help." The barista shot her a grateful look, confusion and panic wrestling in her features. Emma moved closer, feeling the heat of the moment crawling under her skin. "Those men are dangerous. Just trust us." But the barista shook her head vehemently. "You don't understand." Without warning, the wiry man lunged at Nathan, who had stepped forward to protect Emma. A scuffle broke out, filled with shouts and the clatter of chairs. Emma's adrenaline surged, drowning out her fear as she rushed to aid Nathan, throwing herself between them, adrenaline coursing through her veins. "Stop!" she shouted, the sound more a mixture of fear and urgency than authority. The chaos rattled in her ears, but she pressed on. "We don't have to do this." The taller man paused, intensity flickering in his eyes as if weighing Emma's words. They held on to each other's gazes for what felt like an eternity, hope and fear battling in the air around them. And then, a loud crash echoed from the back room, a noise so forceful it momentarily distracted everyone. Emma turned just in time to see another figure emerge, cloaked in shadow with a presence that commanded immediate attention. "Enough!" This new voice rang out, deep and resonant. The cafe held its breath, and for that moment, everything hung suspended. Emma could feel the collective pressure of anxious hearts around her, including her own. Who was this new figure? Did they bring salvation or more chaos? Emma's pulse raced again, curiosity mingling with fear. What would happen next? The secrets of the cafe seemed moments away from spilling over, and she was tangled in a web she hadn't completely grasped yet. As the tension pulsated in the air, Emma felt a shift, something about to change everything she had thought she knew. Would they finally uncover the truth hidden in the shadows? Or were they stepping into a trap from which there would be no escape? The moment hung in the air, a tightrope stretched between anticipation and dread. Emma's heart pounded in her chest as the shadowy figure stepped forward into the flickering light. His face remained obscured by the brim of a worn hat, but his presence radiated an undeniable authority. The tall man, still holding the barista back, hesitated. "Who are you?" he demanded, his voice strained with wariness. The figure raised a gloved hand, silencing the chaos that surrounded them. "Enough of this. We can settle this without bloodshed." The authority in his tone commanded attention, and Emma felt the air shift. He didn't need to raise his voice, his very essence had spoken loudly. Emma's breath caught. Could this be the ally they desperately needed? The strange man turned to the barista, his demeanor softening ever so slightly. "You can trust me," he said, a glimmer of promise in his voice. She looked to Emma, who moved closer, sensing an opportunity. "I don't want anybody to get hurt," Emma pleaded, her determination crackling with every word. We just want to understand what's happening here. The new figure took another step forward, approaching the barista and the men. This is about more than you can imagine. You don't know who you're dealing with. His words unfurled like a scroll of warnings, drawing the attention of everyone in the cafe. Emma felt the tension reweaving into something different, strangely electric with hope. What do you mean? Nathan asked, stepping up beside Emma. What's at stake? The figure finally removed his hat, revealing kind yet steely eyes that studied the group with a mix of concern and resolve. There are powerful people here, people who do not take kindly to disruption that means you. He motioned to the emerging fragments of their community gathered amidst the turmoil. Believe me, they want to stop at intimidation. Emma's heart raced as she turned to Nathan. This is it. What we sense all along. This cafe has become a battleground, and the stakes are much higher than just an auction or a gathering, the stranger continued, eyes darting around to ensure all could hear him. But if you harness your collective strength, you might stand a chance. He paused, locking eyes with Emma once more. Are you ready to confront what's lurking in the shadows? Hope flared in Emma's chest. We need to unite. We are already united. She shouted to the crowd. We've come too far to let fear take us down. We can fight this together. A roar of support erupted around her, echoing off the cafe walls. Conversations turned into a chorus of agreement, everyone stirring with empowerment. The energetic response registered in the shadowy figure's expression, a flicker of satisfaction apparent. Then let us not waste any time. We need a plan quickly. As the momentum grew, Emma felt a surge of courage. I'll lead the way, she said resolutely. We need to stand together, create a space where truth shines. We'll confront whoever is behind this. Nathan nodded. Exactly. People believe in us now. We can use social media to demand transparency, hold those hidden in the back accountable. And just like that, the cafe, once filled with rising fears and uncertainties, sparked with unwavering determination. The tall man's demeanor shifted, a subtle nod of acknowledgement passed between him and Emma, their energies interlocked. Start gathering information, he instructed. We will use what we know to build our defense. If we can rattle their cages, we might just expose the truth. Staff members and patrons alike nodded, readying their phones and preparing to harness the power of social media for good. The energy in the room intensified, the air electric with the promise of change. Emma's spirit soared, she could feel it real momentum. Remember, if we're going to face their truths, we have to do it together, she declared, heart full of hope. We stand for each other. We stand for our community. As they rallied, the cacophony of voices surged, unity blooming where disarray once prevailed. Emma glanced at Nathan, and then the figure who had entered the cafe. Sensing an unbreakable bond forming amongst them, an alliance forged from adversity, above the storm clouds outside, light began to pierce through. They were no longer just 5 women stepping out of the shadows, they were a community ready to confront their biggest fears and rewrite their story. Together, they would face what lurked beyond the walls of the cafe, and together, they would emerge victorious. As they gathered their final preparations, Emma knew they would not be alone when they stepped out into the storm. They were a wave rising, stronger than the fear that once held them back. Don't wait. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.